Jarkko Korpiklaanista ja te kaikki katselette Neuweltmusic ohjelmaa. For some reason our bus driver, German, drifted on the right lane and then hit Suzuki with an old lady and a dog in it. And it was like all what we felt was this thump, and then the braking, which was more like worse for us was the braking and not the actual crash. But then the lady, of course, like crashed with a 20-ton bus, so the fire brigade had to cut her out from the car. But it was only mostly because the front door was jammed, and then I think she didn't seem like she was hurt that badly. She was complaining about the ribs because of the seat belt, but we haven't heard anything from her since. She should be okay. Our bus driver had to stay there, so we got a new bus. Like we have an English bus now, an English bus now for the UK shows and the Irish shows, and then I think we're changing back to another German bus again once we get to Calais. That happened was that in like we were being teenagers in 1980s, like mid to late 80s, and then listening to Iron Maiden and trying to found bands like that, playing hard rock or heavy metal or whatever that was at the time, as a young kid. And then Jonne moved up to north of Finland, Lapland, and up there he got very deeply into the folk music and the sort of folk stories of the original Sami people, the indigenous Sami people. And then he was doing that kind of let's say Sami folk music for a few years up there in north, like fully acoustic, no electric guitars or anything. And then after a few years he moves back to southern Finland and just picks up the electric guitar again and just combines these two that he did, like the heavy metal and the folk music, the traditional folk music. So that's how it came together. I think it's because we have, for the last 15-20 years, we have all been told that we are not nations anymore. There's just one nation. Like we are all supposed to be European. We are also supposed to be the sort of European community of the same kind of people. But no one is interested in that. No one wants to be like European in that sense. And that kind of when this sort of unity thing is forced down your throat by the authorities, then you become more interested in your own past, like who the hell do you actually are. So then that's when you start digging deeper in your own past and history and your nation's history, and you're starting to sort of, because there's no such thing as a European identity, so you have to find your own identity, and it's of course your own group that you come from, I think. Manala is not the most common name of the Finnish underworld. I think the more people know that more as Tuonela, but it's just another name for the same thing. And it is way older concept than for example any of these things that came with the Christianity later. Manala is a place where the dead go, and they're just the dead are living there. Sorry.
Yes, you.
The dead are the dead continue the life there as spirits, and then there are also evil spirits teasing you, bothering you, or whatever. But it's completely different different concept than, for example, heaven and hell kind of idea. It's just a place where the dead go and continue their life as spirits, and it's even possible to travel between the worlds, like the underworld and the world that we are. It is a bit different. There's any story that every child knows. I think we are all like at school we are all taught about the national epic Kalevala and the stories in that. But I don't think that is anymore. That is just like any other school subject that you are forced to learn something and then you are not interested in that really. And only a few, like a handful of people actually get this, like, okay, maybe there is something in this, and then they get to study further and get into that, get into the actual folklore and stories. Kalevala is just sort of like a little scratch on the surface, and all the good stuff is beyond the surface. Very popular in Finland, in the countries notoriously known about its drinking habits. Yeah, we do have songs about alcohol. You should only be writing about the things that you know about. So, and usually the rock bands sing about sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and we are not really that big experts in any of those. So we try to stick with the rock and roll and the alcohol part. A couple of Korpiklaani albums were pretty much completely in English. And then from the third Korpiklaani album we started to drift towards Finnish. And now they are all lyrics are in Finnish. And the reason, first of all, the reason for the first albums being in English was that Jonne, who was at the time the only person writing the lyrics, was never happy with his Finnish lyrics. He sort of wanted to write in Finnish, but he was never happy with that. And he felt that it sounds really, really stupid. And then, because it's your own language, you become really critical towards that. And then in English you can write whatever kind of nonsense and it works as a rock and roll song. You can write stuff like Viva Balula, She's My Baby, that has no sense at all, and it's still a classic rock and roll hit. So he was writing stuff in English mainly because of this, and then since the third album we started to actually get Finnish text from an outside writer, a friend of ours, and then we sort of drifted more and more into the Finnish thing, because that was, we felt that once we found the good lyricist, we were actually creating more interesting music with lyrics that really fit the music well. So that's how it started the change, and then later we have been getting more and more Finnish lyrics from guest writers and stuff. And then Jonne also has sort of been absorbing this stuff, so he like looking at the result, that's how it's done, and then he has sort of learned to do the same kind of traditional Finnish text as well. And this is the thing that we think that we are going to be sticking with, like the Finnish. Stuff like we spoke about yesterday, that there are lots of songs from the first, let's say 2 albums, that we played a lot live when we were touring at the time, like 6-7 years ago. We were playing them a lot, and we haven't played them since we have moved on with the music and the band and released several albums after that. But then we were talking yesterday that there still actually are good songs there. There's really good stuff that is just sort of forgotten now that we have gone, well, somewhere else. So there's not really that I can say that there's a favorite of mine or least favorite. There always was good songs, and I can, when like building the live set, I can live without any song. There are no songs that I have to have on the set. But then again, there are not really songs that I cannot have in the set either. I'm okay with, okay, we'll add this one. Okay. It's all the same to me. But sauna is an essential part of life in Finland. That's the place where you go to clean yourself, both physically and mentally. You clean yourself, you sweat all the week's crap out. You sweat that out on Saturday evening, and then you also clean yourself mentally. You empty your mind in the sauna, and that's what you do. It's not. I don't know why. I don't know how that came about in the first place, but the man who invented the sauna is a genius. Well, of course, you can write a song in a sauna or about sauna, but I wouldn't take an instrument to a sauna. I do have, in the past, I have been reading newspapers in sauna, which will work out for the 10 minutes until it's soaked. But I still wouldn't take a guitar in there. No, the only message that I have for the Irish people or the fans is that I'm sorry that we didn't come here earlier. I know we've been to the island next to you many times. What you call it, England, whatever. But we haven't been here before. It's strange that we haven't, but we are here now. And